Good morning. Welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I am Allison Joy. And it's Sunday. Happy Easter if that's something you celebrate. I tend to not celebrate it. So here we are. We're gonna do some Goonies today. And good morning, Chris Plastic. And good morning, Payne. Chris Plastic. Good morning, Duchess. Lovely to see you. Good morning, CJ. Welcome. I hope you had a great week and congratulations again on the 17th. That's a huge day for you. And good morning, Thanos. And for everyone wondering or not wondering, Thanos will be here with me in a couple weeks on a Sunday, and we're going to color some Black Star from Filmation. So that's something to definitely look forward to. I have not been able, Thanos and I have not been able to line up for one of these Sundays, and we finally made it happen. So it'll be fun. And with everyone, well, again, welcome. Thank you for popping in. I know a lot of you probably have family stuff happening. But thank you for popping in, and I'm just going to ramble, and we're going to work again on this very detailed adult coloring book, Official Goonies. I don't know how much of that shows up on the screen. Yep, there we go. There is a flip through on the channel with another page color in it if you are wondering what all is in this. And again, we're working in this book because with all of the moving and house remodeling, I have not scanned these vintage books yet. But I should have some time this week to scan these. And I'll probably do some short. I'll do flip through videos, of course. Probably just do one for both. And then make some shorts and some videos and stuff from them because there's some fun vintage pages in there. So if anyone has moved and then done some remodeling and some build out stuff, it's a lot. So one of the reasons whenever I was like, oh, it's Easter, and I bet a lot of the people I want to hang out with normally are going to have things, I was like, I'll just hang out solo and we'll work on some Goonies. So, yeah, CJ, we did, yeah, some Black Star for sure. And what's funny is I could not find a vintage Black Star coloring book, but I did find some Filmation, like some of the line art that they used for an episode and something from their catalog. I'm sorry, not the catalog, oh gosh, I forget, like the marketing kit that they would send out to channels whenever they were trying to sell Black Star to them. And so from those, I was able to find a couple of images, clean them up. So it should be fun because both of them are basic images. So I'll be able to sort of go wild with the background. So it'll be fun. And one of them has the dragon in it, and the other one is Black Star fighting off somebody from behind. So it also has a little bit of a suggestiveness, which is perfect for Thanos, because if you follow Thanos on Instagram, Thanos is pretty famous in certain circles for his tongue-in-cheek, spicy pictures. So I was like, this is the perfect for Thanos. So looking forward to it. Thanos is one of my favorite people. So it's always fun when you get to hang out with people you appreciate and like. So it'll be great. And let's see, more people showing up. Since I am here alone, if I don't highlight your comment, no worries, but I do see them because I've got a setup so I can see comments. Good morning, Nolan. We've officially arrived, people. Nolan is here. Okay. You're going to get me to do my media assets. You heard correctly, Chris. Moby is trash. Yep. All right. All right. Let's really quick just pop over so I can do this properly. Hello, Nolan. Brennan. Hello. How are you today? Hope you are well. And Rowdy Riles. Everyone go check out Rowdy's channel. Amazing stuff happening over there. And Kenzo is here. Hey. I am still waking up today. I got to sleep in fairly late. I was about to say, Kenzo and I have a stream coming up. That already happened, so. I just need to have Kenzo back, so we can do some more Mochu. And then Chris Plastic will be here in a few weeks, too. I am overdue for my regular hangout visit with Chris Plastic. So, anyway. Also, apparently, it's 420, so I know some of you celebrate certain things on 420. So, for those of you who are celebrating that instead of the bunny or in addition to the bunny, happy 420. I'm of the philosophy, celebrate everything you can whenever you can. Life is short. It's like Madonna says, if we take a holiday, and my birthday is coming up, so I've got all of that. So there's lots of celebrating here, even though I'm way too old for chocolate eggs and hiding eggs and Easter baskets. Although up until my mom died, about a decade, she would still send me every year an Easter basket full of candy and stuff. And there's always like one big ticket item. When we were kids, like we got the Well of Souls place. My brother and I, we had to share it for that Easter because it was spendy. But there was an Easter where we got the Indiana Jones Well of Soul play set. And we get CDs as I got older. My original large-size Princess Leia doll in 1979 was an Easter present. And so that was one of my favorite childhood Easters. Because I wanted that Leia more than anything. And she was like $10, which was a lot for my family in the 70s. My dad was still in college working his way through with his GI Bill and his salary as a 7-Eleven employee. And so things were tight. But they did manage to get me that. And then a few weeks after that Easter at my birthday, I got the Death Star playset, as well as the handful of figures I did not have. And then my aunts and uncles who were young and broke all chipped in and got me a TIE Fighter. And then my aunt who was not, she had just graduated college, I think, and her husband made good money. They bought me the large size Luke. So it's a pretty good year. I was very spoiled as a child, I'm aware. And I make no apologies for being spoiled. So, I also had a lot of my toys stolen as a kid because I would let people come over and play with them, and the other neighbor kids weren't as fortunate, so my mom would go and go to their house and get my stuff back. And they get mad because I would still play with those kids. But they didn't know no better. Aw, well, good times. Hello, Thanos. Oh, Tony. Sorry. It's Tony saying hello to Thanos. And hello, Todd. Exactly. All the things. But he celebrated all. I mean, like, some people put grass in the Easter basket. Like, whatever grass is in your Easter basket, I approve. Life is short and ugly, like a Kardashian wearing makeup. Find joy wherever you can. Oh, wait. And a little bit darker for Martha Plimpton's hair here. It was much more like of a white blonde when she was this age with like some reddish undertones. But they're in the pirate ship, so I can get away with a little bit more of sort of the golden and browns. And so. I finally rewatched Goonies this year, a couple days ago, and I so thoroughly enjoyed it, but I can also see why, if you weren't on the Goonies train back when it came out, why it may not hit. It was a very specific vibe. It's also very much like a fantasy movie, because there's no way that would. I mean, if you look at like at the end, they have the gem, those gems, and the neighborhood is say from the greedy land developer, but there's no way that those, I mean, just that bag full of gems was enough to save all of their houses, even in the 80s. But again, it's a nice fantasy. It's not like any of that. Those kids would have ended up dead from at the first trap. But that's why it's a movie and it's fun. And somewhere movies stop being fun. Let's see. Uh-oh, Kenzo's getting the shower, y'all. For those of you into that, you can now picture him in the shower. Hello, Andrew. Napping and hungover, I bet. Yeah, the Church of Vodka. We all know how you are. We all know. Also, next Sunday is going to be fun. I've got Janessa J is going to be here with me Sunday morning. She has a fun channel. And I found her because she has a bunch of Golden Girl videos. And I regularly look for Golden Girl stuff because there's not a lot of it out there. And she has like the playset and a bunch of couple of the storybooks. And so definitely recommend that. The thumbnail will go up later with, the link to it and stuff, so you can check out her channel. But it'll be fun. She does she doesn't do just toys. She also does like makeup tutorials. Because she is a drag queen, she does a bunch of history of drag and stuff. Like, she's got just the fun, eclectic channel. Like, thoroughly I'm excited about, and she, like, I tend to hang out with, have people here that are in my circle of channels, and it'll be nice to sort of break out of that a little bit and have somebody that I don't know or haven't really chatted with in the chats or whatever. So it'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So. But yeah, I sent her a bunch of Golden Girls and some She-Ra and some Barbie, so I'm not sure what she's going to pick yet. I need to check in with her tomorrow. So I can make the thumbnail. You know, if she like picks Barbie, I'll color some Barbie. But if she picks, you know, like I'm not gonna insist we color the same page or whatever. But I'm gonna at least stay to the same property that she's coloring. So, it's gonna be fun. Like I've got some fun stuff lined up. Now that the sort of studio / office is almost ready for me to move into, I can start focusing on stuff. I've got, I'm going to start doing a bunch of videos on Kenner, vintage Kenner, because they had all of their imagination toys. Part of why I'm here is because the Kenner Color Corner, which is like their plates and their dip dots, and I've got a bunch of dip dot sets from various that they released. And there's like Star Wars and Strawberry Shortcake and $6 Million Man. I don't have the Bionic Woman one or the International Velvet and some of the non-franchise things, but I've got a bunch of them, so I'm going to start doing videos on the Kenner Color Corner and those books. So it'll be fun. It's still technically coloring content, but it's a little different. So I'm excited to have my studio because then I can really sort of spread out. Good morning, Vector. Lovely to see you. Goonies for sure. Goonies never say die. Exactly. Exactly, Andrew. Amazing. Yeah, I figure. It's Sunday. I've never hung out with you or chatted with you on a Sunday where you weren't a little bit hungover. And hey, you know, live your life. You only live once. As Salt and Pepper says, you only live once and you're not coming back to express yourself. Get stuff a little maroon on her lip. She did have sort of a natural, I mean, I'm sure there was makeup or something on it, but it was made to look natural. And since we're in the pirate ship, I can get everybody's so creative with it. You can add some creative lighting. I think it's next weekend that I'm hanging out with Dave and Dre for their charity fundraiser. I'm pretty sure that's this Saturday, so I'll have a link up. It's super early for those of us on the West Coast. So I will be heavily caffeinated for it, but we're going to do some Back to the Future. So let's see if where's that? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so I've got a Back to the Future book, so we'll be doing some Back to the Future because it's one of their favorite movies. So yeah, fun stuff coming up. And then of course Star Wars is next month. There's gonna be a lot of Star Wars content next month, so I do apologize for those of you not as fond of it. But for me, May is always Star Wars. And the only thing I really dislike about Disney taking over Star Wars was the moving it to December, so it would not sort of clash with their May Marvel stuff. But for me, Star Wars is always the May thing. All right, there we go. Excellent. I think stuff looks pretty good. It's a good question. I will go. I think it's Janessa J. I will find it in a few seconds and drop the link. And it'll be in the description of the video once it goes up. But yeah, like it's she does obviously she does toy stuff, which is how I found her. But she also does makeup tutorials. She does horror. She likes horror movies a lot, which so do I. So her horror movie content is pretty fun. She had one where she really like had some, in my opinion, some really interesting takes on Carrie, the original movie from Brian De Palma, and compared it to the more modern remake with oh gosh, what is that girl's name? Chloe Moretz or something like that. I forget. These younger actresses like Kierna Shipna and Chloe Moretz. I feel like she's got like a middle name in there that I'm missing. But she had some like the new one is a fun movie. It's not as good as the original, but Janessa also had some takes on it that I hadn't thought about. So I had like a some reconsideration, if you will, of my original takeaway on it because of stuff that she saw that I didn't. So I also always appreciate that. I've said it a few times, but before I decided to do toy tubing coloring books related to sort of pop culture and toy companies and stuff, I had planned on doing like a horror channel where I talked about my favorite horror movies. I still have a bunch of scripts and plans somewhere. At some point, maybe I'll launch the horror of it all or whatever I'm going to call it now. But so yeah, I like that her channel is just the things that interest her. So it's not sort of toy tube, it's not horror tube, horror movie tube or whatever. Or makeup, beauty tube or whatever you want to call it. It's Janessa's channel. I think I really sort of appreciate that because YouTube really will sort of try to push you into niching down and being super focused. And like when I watch channels where people are just doing what they like and making the channel them instead of a sort of niche. So anyway, yeah, I'll find the link in a few seconds. Those Golden Girl videos were super rad. And it's really hard to find good content on Golden Girl anywhere. As I've been researching for some of the videos I've worked on, I'll go Google. And some of the top searches for Golden Girl at this point on Google are my shorts and my videos. Which is cool. It's flattering. I'm like, oh my God, I've made it. But then it's also like, that doesn't help. I already know what I know. And so I guess that's part of the risk you run when you make videos about these really obscure toy lines and subjects. Eventually, you technically by default become an finger quote expert. But I've got a couple Golden Girl videos. I'm going to do a bunch of Villain Obscura videos in a few months. For all the villains from the Golden Girl line. So I've been researching those, about the characters themselves. Unfortunately, I have not yet found anything on the development of the line, so I can't really sort of, like, oh, they were inspired by sort of this or that or whatever. And Golden Girl was sort of developed by the same company that developed Thundercats for Rankin Bass. So there's definitely like in my opinion, more to it. Because the company who found Thundercats put a lot of. We know more about Thundercats, of course, because it hit a little bit bigger. So, fortunately, the guy who created Thundercats and is most likely the creator of Golden Girls is no longer with us, so it's not like it can be that annoying. Hi, you created this toy line like 40 years ago. Will you spend a couple hours explaining to me your deep thoughts about why this is what you did? And so, as much fun as that is, unfortunately, I don't think a Ouija board and a crystal ball would get me the right answers. So, unfortunately, it's not an option. And the company itself now just makes like medical grade toilets. So there you go. Let's see what is happening in. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Exactly. There you go. Thank you so much, Thanos. Thanos, this is why people love you. Thanos is just on top of things. Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of there are a lot of the undeveloped Wave 2 things that have slipped out there, and there's some really cool looking stuff. Looking through it, it really would have been cool if they had given us Dragon Queen's Throne. Like, that's a really cool toy. That's one of the ones I have a bunch of printouts of and some sort of spec drawings of me trying to figure out how I might make it. Once the studio is all set up and I have workspace again, I'll be able to start customizing toys. And some of the things I'm going to customize are playsets. I have a couple. A castle from the Ella, I think it's Ella, no, it's not Ella Enchanted, it's Dream Ella toy line that I'm going to spray paint a couple colors and add some stuff to have a castle brighten from She-Ra. And then I have a Frozen fold-out palace that's going to become Frost's Kingdom of the Castle Chill in the Kingdom of Snows. So it'll be exciting once I, can start building and have space to go and safely spray paint stuff. It isn't the back patio of an apartment or condo. But yeah, so. And then I'll rip off Thanos' idea for Castle of Hell's. What is it? I can't remember. From Anti-Attorney, it's like Castle Hell Skull, I think. I wouldn't even call it Castle Hell Spawn. But Thanos' method of making it, I'm like, that's really cool. So I'm going to borrow Thanos' idea and make it. Yeah, definitely check that out, Thanos. Janessa has bought the playset. So like there's an entire walkthrough of that playset. Yeah, I've got a few of them. Thank you, Hell Skull. Like I said, I kept wanting to call it Hell Spawn. But yeah, so it'll be, it'll be nice. Goonies as a kid it's funny because Goonies came out the same year that Golden Girl and She-Ra did. So like, it was such a weird summer because on the one hand, I'm obsessing over the Goonies, but also 100% working my butt off to buy all the She-Ra toys. And and probably because of the She-Ra thing, there was never a point where I'm like, why aren't there any Goonies toys? I asked that much later in life. I would have probably asked that summer if not for She-Ra. And they've done some reaction. I think, was it NECA? I think it was NECA that did like some 3 3/4 really detailed figures. And there's a box set of those I keep looking at, but it's like there's no brand, there's no Steffi, there's no Andy. It's just like Mouth and Chunk and Data and Sloth. And I get it, like those are kind of, it's like, but I need Steph and Andy. Like, make those like with like rooted hair like the Ravishing Reporter April from back in the day, or all those Swan Crossing dolls that Playmates did. All right, I think we've got Mikey's jacket. That would be cool. As far as the Lighthouse statue, Adam Shearer Customs on Instagram, which is where I got my Lookie repo. He actually made the statue of Lighthouse. I don't know if he plans on doing it again, but I do know he made it and has the model of it. So he probably, if enough of us wanted, he would probably be able to do another round of those. We should talk about that, Andrew, because I think probably if just you and I wanted it, that might be enough, for him to find it worth his time to remake some of those. Because it was like his stuff is on point. Like when Adam Shearer does stuff, it looks vintage. Like he has 100% captured the vibe even when he does characters that were never produced and didn't exist outside of like a typed up page. He gets the look. That's really cool. And see if I can, after we're off, after I'm off stream, I'll see if I can find the pictures from it on Instagram and send them to you. But yeah, Janessa has a lot of cool stuff. So, and again, it's going to be fun to hang out with her. And since toys aren't her primary channel function, it'll also be interesting to just in general talk about all of the things. It's like I live in Oregon, so I've been to Astoria a couple times, which is where they filmed the Goonies. And the Astoria itself has not changed a lot. Like the jail at the beginning isn't a functioning. It's now basically like a museum for the movie. But even then, that wasn't a functioning jail. They had already moved it. It's just because it's a historical building. They still had it. The Goonies house is still there above the town. When the last time I went, the new owners don't want you to even go up there unless it's part of a prearranged tour. The first time I went there, the owners were fine if you came up. You just couldn't go in the yard. You could stand out in front of it, take some pictures, but stay out of their yard. The new owners don't even want you standing outside of the fence, unless it's part of the arranged. And there are tours that, have clearance to go up there, so, which is reasonable. But also, the sort of bitchy fan of it all, it's like you bought the Goonies house, my friends. Like, you had to understand that that's not like they've owned it since before the movie. And and because I'm the kind of nerd I am, I bought all of the behind the scenes stuff back in the day, and it's like the house itself was sort of falling apart. And the production company came in and basically paid the people who owned the house because they liked the house, they liked where it was, they thought it fit the vibe that they were going for. So they repaired it. So the house as it exists is basically because the movie, production company went in and fixed it up. So You know, if you buy a movie that's like a house that's like famous because of the movie and sort of exists because of the movie, you have to kind of figure out a way to make peace with it. So I think people coming into your yard, that's above and beyond what anyone should have to put up with. But I think if you're going to buy a house like that, you need to sort of accept people are going to stand outside of your house and take pictures. And technically, it's a public street, so they can come out and get mad, but they can't really, you know, technically, they can't really do much of anything. But there are a lot of people who will like ring the door and be assholes, so don't be that person. Also, some of the best soft serve I've ever had was in Astoria. Hello, 3-star. Welcome. Lovely to see you. Well, there you go. And to all the ladies, he's now dried off and reclothed. So your Kenzo in the shower fantasy can end now. And I'm sure there are some dudes who are into that. So everyone, hot, wet Kenzo has passed. He's now dry. Yeah, I think some of you were. Well, I think Vanis was there with us, but I hung out after my stream with Cobweb on Friday night. We rolled over to Kenzo's channel, and I was there late. Like when we finished up Kenzo, I was like, "Oh my god, it's like so late." I never stay up this late unless I'm editing or working on pages. But it was fun to just sort of hang out. And I opened my Crystar. Oh, he's over there now. Never mind. I'm not going to go grab him off the shelf. But I finally opened my Crystar on the stream. Because everyone else was opening toys and I felt left out. I've just been trying not to open any figures until the studio is ready so I can just get everything set up. It's a lot easier to carry packaged figures, you know, from one space to the other than it is throwing a bunch of unboxed stuff into a box and then carrying it out. Hello, Breck. Lovely to see you. Nope, they never do. Hello, Mint with Card. Yep. Happy Easter to you if that's your thing. If it's not, happy 420. And if that's not your thing, happy Sunday. And if all of those are your thing, congrats. Your life is richer for celebrating and recognizing more things. I have to be careful because the shades of red that colors I would normally use for Mikey's hair, some of them I used for the wood grain. So I have to be careful not to do that today. But also have to talk about it in a way where we don't spend the entire stream talking about wood grain like we did last time. I got to save all of the wood grain content for my spin-off channel, Coloring Wood Grain, where it's nothing but me coloring wood grain. It's a channel you didn't know you needed, but you do. Are Mikey. Excellent. Getting there. Yeah, exactly. Like grain upon grain, all grain all the time. Probably. I did a couple of them, so somebody gifted a bunch of memberships on Riley's channel, and I got one. And I had planned on this weekend going in and getting a membership because my brother was sending me some birthday money, so I'm like, I'm gonna use that to, like get a membership. Because, like you should spend your birthday money on fun stuff. And but then Riley was like, oh, somebody gifted it to you, and I'm like, damn it. So I just went in and bought a bunch of memberships. So because, it's fun to pay it forward. So and it's fun to help other creators. Those of us who are not Mr. Beast and don't have over 15,000 subs, like every little bit counts. So, and Riley is making fun content. And again, this is my if you have not watched Riley's Secret Wars video, go watch it. It's an hour plus, and it's going to be the best hour plus you spent on YouTube probably forever. And until Riley does her next hour plus video. But if you've ever wondered what the heck is Marvel's 1980s Secret Wars about and want to see it acted out and explained with action figures, go check out Riley's video. You will not regret it. And it's exactly what I'm always saying I want to see on YouTube whenever I jump on. Like, I'm going to say at this point, if you are not an economist, I don't care what your hot take on the tariffs are. I literally this week just started, like, as soon as tariff talk starts, I just close the window and go watch something else. So, and ToyTubers explaining tariffs badly is not a subgenre of ToyTube I ever expected. And it's not one I'm going to continue to watch. So, because there are a lot of people who don't understand how any of it is working. And we're just not going to go there. So, anyway, go watch something fun on YouTube. Support creators making fun content. Because that is the best way to spend your time. I'm just going to say I didn't watch it. So, I'm not attacking you per se. Sir, if I were attacking you, I would say your name and be like, and he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Anyway. Yeah, that's a good point. Mint with Card, your new channel is happening. I think I watched your most recent video. What was remind me in the comments of your most recent video. Because if it's not the one I'm thinking, then that means I need to go catch up. And we also need to figure out when you're going to come on and hang out with me here. Excuse me. We finally found the culprit for what was triggering my allergies in our backyard, and we ripped it up yesterday. And we're replacing it with a lovely patch of strawberries and raspberries. But it takes a few days for all the gunk that came up with it to sort of clear. So I apologize if I sound a little mucusy today. But we're at the tail end of the mucus season, so there is that. Okay, so I did not watch that one, but it also sounds like it. I've been following it through people's Instagram stories. Emily from, not marketing Emily, but Emily, who works on Star Wars. I am particularly excited by the Bantha. I think the Bantha is really cool. But yeah, like I tend to not, it's weird. Like I've noticed the last few, like I liked the Dash Rengar, but I don't know if that was a, technically a Star Wars Celebration reveal or if that was separate. I liked that. The Han Solo, the Chewbacca, and Black Series. I've got those sort of on there when they did the what was it, the 40th anniversary of A New Hope line, where it's like they released them all on vintage style Kenner cards. But I haven't opened those, so I'm excited that they're redoing Han and Chewbacca in that scale, because I was not particularly enamored with the actual sculpts of the original Black Series Han and Chewbacca for A New Hope. So it'll be nice because they just redid the Luke and the Leia, and those look really great. They have been nailing, in my opinion, Carrie Fisher's likeness from A New Hope, like the vintage collection that they dropped late last year. Phenomenal. And the new Black Series Leia, also phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to the Han and the Chewbacca because I have a really good 3PO and Black Series. And there are a couple good Vaders and obviously Stormtroopers. I need to, so I want to basically build the original 12 figures Kenner did in Black Series scale. And I feel like finally I've gotten a few figures so that I'm closer to achieving that. You have an extra of the Death Star, whatever they called the Death Squad commander when they did it in that. In the 40th anniversary version, but he's also like, you know, like screen accurate. I need him in, but I have an extra one because I'm just going to paint him in gray because I doubt we'll ever get to a point where they let them, although I could be wrong, maybe next year for the year after, in 2027, if we're all still alive, it's possible that they'll do like the Death Squad commander in original colors. And if so, that's rad. If not, I've got the extra one that I can repaint at some point. Because if we don't get them in 2027 as part of the 50th anniversary, they're just not going to do an accurate to the Kenner figure. And because that was my first Star Wars figure as a kid, was the Death Squad commander. Because they were really hard to find, and my early bird kit did not come in. So it came in eventually, but it was not in 4 to 6 weeks as advertised. But yeah, the first one we found, and it was that thing where it's like Or Star Wars, for those of you who aren't as old as I am, it was like an urban legend. One kid's mom would say, "Oh, they were at TG&Y," so everyone would go to TG&Y, and of course by then they were gone. Or it's like they're at Gibson's, and you would go there, or Ben Franklin, like all of this Woolworths would have them or whatever. And then you get there and they'd be gone because everyone was looking for them. And the first one we found was at Gibson's, and it was the Death Squad Commander. So that was my first Star Wars figure. It was an old man, which is, I think, why I still have an affinity to this day for boring old man figures in the Star Wars storyline. Because my first figure was that boy. He had that really cool watch, though. And then my second figure was the Vinyl Cape Jawa. And then the Tusken Raider, because that was like the final wave of the first 12. And then my early bird showed up. And then for Christmas, I got all of the rest of them except Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I got him for the same birthday in 1979, where I got the Death Star and a bunch of Cantina aliens. So yeah, I'm pretty much with Star Wars, and it's not because I'm one of these Disney sucks. Everything Disney does is awful. They've killed my childhood. If Disney could kill my childhood by making Star Wars stuff I don't care for, then my childhood wasn't very good to begin with. But I am pretty much just collecting original trilogy. Queen Amidala, Princess Leia, Cool Women, and then after that, it's pretty much original trilogy with a focus on A New Hope. So, just because I'm literally, as I'm unboxing my stuff, I just found my boxes with the Power of the Force 2 C-3PO case and the 2 Millennium Falcon cases, and they're full of figures. I was all in for Power of the Force 2. I still have all of that. Like, I pretty much was all in until episode 2 came out. And even after that, I bought lots of Star Wars stuff. So, like, I bought so much Star Wars stuff that there's no way to, be all in all the time. It's expensive. But yeah, I do want the Dash Rendar. I'll figure it out. Yeah, exactly. All the blasters. Right. I didn't watch that. Yeah, there are problems with the new trilogy, but Lucas didn't plan out the original trilogy ever. And they didn't decide Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker were brother and sister until like the final draft of Return of the Jedi. The first 2 drafts, right before the end of the movie, Luke's sister showed up from the planet she'd been training on with her Jedi Master trainer. And then they went and fought the Emperor together. So, he didn't even, for the prequels, he had more time. And it's like, in Return of the Jedi, Leia's like, oh, I remember my mom. And then in Revenge of the Sith, where Padme is killed by bad writing, she dies before Leia can actually know her. So, like, Lucas never really had an actual plan. So I don't, like, should they have planned those movies better? They should have planned them better than Lucas planned his, but I don't know. I was a lot more judgmental on their lack of planning for those at the beginning, but then as I've been going through all of my Star Wars research materials and all of my books on the original scripts, I've realized George Lucas had no fucking clue either, so. And he created it, so if he couldn't stick to his own backstory because he thought something was cooler, I'm not going to begrudge Disney for that. There are plenty of other things I can begrudge them for. but I'm not gonna. Especially when they were started trying to pivot for the fan backlash, which is you never do. I mean, George Lucas did that also, where he decreased Jar Jar's involvement in the prequels because the fans didn't like Jar Jar. Was Jar Jar my favorite thing? No. You know who really loved Jar Jar? Kids. I went and saw when the movies were coming out. When they redid them in 3D, they didn't release all of them. They just did the Phantom Menace. But I went and saw it with a coworker, and she had been a little kid when it, cause it's like what 2013, I think. But she had been like a little kid when they came out, and was not a little kid anymore. But she loved the Phantom. She was like, Jar Jar was my favorite character. And every time he would come on screen, she'd be like, "Oh my God, it's Jar Jar." And I was just like, I think we all sort of lost the plot there. And it was the same with my grandparents hated Star Wars. My grandma would always refer to Chewbacca as that space monkey in a way where it always felt like it was vaguely racist. R.I.P. Grandma, but the way she said space monkey, I'm like, there's something there that I'm way too young to pick up on. But in retrospect, I'm like, that's a little sus. But yeah, they didn't like the alien. My grandfather worked at NASA, and he worked in the military space program. And there's no sound in space. It's so stupid. That's not how it would work. And so I think it's just easy because we're adults. We grew up with it. That we feel really judgy about it, and it's fine to feel judgy about it. But I don't know. I'm old. I'll die soon. I don't want my legacy to be like, that bitch was super salty about stuff that didn't matter. Unless it's how bad Moby sucks. That's completely different. Effing Moby. But yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if Disney had planned it out better. Would have been nice if they had, made Rey like the long lost daughter of Han and Leia or Luke. Absolutely. But that's just not what they wanted to do. And I have, since 1977, I've been a fan of headcanon. I've always made my own stories, and my stories are what I go with. The movies are just suggestions. I mean, I know people hate when you say stuff like that, but whatever. Like, the movies are like, yeah, that's canon, but that's their canon. My canon is whatever I want my canon to be. You can't tell me what to do, Disney. And so I thoroughly encourage everyone. I mean, I can't go and tell people, well, this is my headcanon, so this is what really happened. And you're wrong if you disagree. But for myself, I just make up my headcanon and tell my own stories and enjoy my life much better. It's much easier when you're not, just think next time, rewatch a sequel, one of the sequel trilogy movies, and don't watch it because it's official. Watch it for ideas. And you can be like, oh, I like this idea. I'm going to adopt that, and this is what really happened. Just try it. Be imaginative. That's how you beat the Empire. Dark. Of course. Family. Well, it's important we know, Andrew, that she was always adopted because that's the story they made up. But that's how we found out. Exactly. There. I like that headcanon, Alex. I might steal that from you. I might bar. Let me. I might bar. I might appropriate your headcanon culture there. But in my head, people were like, well, and the Last Jedi, they told her that she was nobody, so she's nobody, and they made her a Palpatine. I'm like, you can't trust the dark side, guys. Like, my favorite thing about Empire Strikes Back is this. Whenever I went and watched that as a kid, and Dark, I almost called him Dark Vader, like I'm a child again. When Darth Vader says, "I am your father," right? Today, that's just accepted as reality. But it's back in the day, I was like, he's lying. He's not really his dad. Darth Vader is just I did it again. Darth Vader is just messing with his head. And that's what I thought. I did not accept that just because Darth Vader. I'm just going to go with it because it keeps happening. So he's just Darth Vader today. But I did not accept that he was just messing. He was trying to trick Luke into joining his side. And then, of course, with Return of the Jedi, Luke is just in the most unimaginative way of exposition dump. Yep, he's your dad. But it's really important, and it's like everyone's like, well, it's said in the movie, and it's like, but it could have just been the dark side messing with Rey. She could be a Palpatine. She could be a Skywalker for real. And I think, and this is the only time I'm gonna probably sound like that old bitch. But one of the things that has sort of I've noticed in recent years is a lack of flexibility in sort of how we approach fiction. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the girl was like, oh, I read this book, and I was really mad because the book didn't have any spoiler alerts in it, and it ruined the entire movie for me. But she's reading the book that the movie is based on, so of course it's going to have, but it was this really weird thing. And then I just sort of thought about it. It's like I had watched it's been a few years now, but I watched a video where somebody, again, some kid, was really mad because they're like, and through the entire movie, they kept dropping Easter eggs about how the movie was going to end. So when the movie finally ended, like it had been set up the whole time, and like it wasn't a huge surprise if you were. And I was like, it's called plot. Like you can't just do a twist ending, and like, I mean, people do twist endings. Hello, M. Night Shyamalan. But even M. Night Shyamalan generally tries to foreshadow it. But this person was mad because there was foreshadowing of the ending. They're like, there were clues through the whole thing, so you could figure it out. What is that? And it's sort of like, I don't know how, and it's like, I'll go on TikTok and watch book talk reviewers who are reviewing books, and a lot of these books are really bad. And I don't mean like, I mean like they're badly written, they're badly plotted, they're all sort of derivative of each other. And this is my one old lady moment of the thing. I feel like there's a lot of media literacy and a lot of misunderstanding how to consume fictional things, and a loss of imagination where it's like everything needs to be spelled out, but also you have to not spell it out completely or you've spoiled it. And I don't know. For me, again, because back in the day, like if you missed a movie and it didn't come out on video right away, there wasn't streaming, Like, I didn't worry about spoiler culture because a good movie, like, even if you know what's going to happen, should still be good. And I think a lot of spoiler culture has risen from the fact is that some of these TV shows, some of these movies are not good if you don't have the surprise factor. So, anyway, that's my rant on why everything sucks. Now that's out of the way. If you like all of that stuff, you're good. Like, I don't care. If you like badly written books and they bring you joy, enjoy them. Life is too short to not enjoy things. I'm tired of some of the stupidity around. They didn't warn me that the book would spoil the movie for me. Just like, okay. Anyway, on that note. Right? I am sure that in the next couple of years, it's funny you mentioned that, Alex, because I was watching, well, you know this because I shared this stuff and we talk in our conversations. Oz comes up, all of the Oz's. But and we both, I know this because we've shared her content, but we both followed the Oz vlog. And right after the Wicked movie came out, I didn't see it right away. And I've never seen the Broadway show. I've only read the Wicked book. And she was like, spoilers for the movie are ahead. And I said in the comment, I made a comment. I'm like, I'm not going to finish this, but I've only read the book. How different is the movie from the book? And she was really gracious. And she's like, they're different enough that if you don't want spoilers, skip the video until after you've watched it. And I was like, okay. And I watched it. I'm like, yeah, there are definitely some differences. But it also wasn't a complete, like, they weren't different enough that it would have ruined the movie for me. But that's the kind of spoiler thing I can appreciate. But, like, there are just some people who are really freaking weird about spoilers. So anyway, I'm going to spoil all the things now. So that you can, especially for people who, like, I wish I had been alive during the 80s. It's like, well, spoiler alerts were not a thing. You knew everything that was going to happen in the movie before. I think Alex and we were also talking about this because of the episode 1 stuff that is happening next month. And the Queen Amidala dolls and action figures sort of gave away that Padme and Queen Amidala are the same person. But also, like, the novelization of A Phantom Menace came out like a full month before the movie did, and it 100% gives everything away. So, but that's just, like, you don't read the novelization if you don't want the movie ruined for you. I read it 100% because I love. There was nothing that was going to ruin the experience of seeing Star Wars on the screen because, like, the words don't capture, like, the effects and everything. I liked the prequels though. Like, I liked the sequels. And the only Star Wars that I wasn't super fond of was I am one of the few people who don't really care for The Mandalorian all that much. It's fine. I watch it, but if you said, let's watch The Mandalorian or let's watch the Ewok Adventure movie, I would have a really hard time deciding which one I would rather watch. And it's not that it's bad, it's just it's not my favorite thing. Like, I enjoyed watching it the one time. But as far as Star Wars stuff goes, I've enjoyed Ahsoka way more. And Andor, I was probably one of the few people who really liked The Acolyte. Like, I enjoyed that. I thought it was different and fun, and I feel like, and again, like this is just my flavor of Star Wars, but I've been watching Star Wars stuff since 1977. Um, Mandalorian feels like, yep, this is Star Wars. It feels like I've seen a bunch of that stuff happen before. It feels like some of it is sort of adapted from expanded universe stuff that went away. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like I enjoyed all the stuff that felt like this. I've never seen this in Star Wars before. So just thought I should. But if you like all of that stuff, that's exciting. Congratulations, you like something. Your life is probably happier because you like some stuff. I don't know. There's so much unhappiness for valid reasons in the world right now that it seems really strange when people want to get really up in arms because you like something and get, like we'll do takedown video after takedown video of like why you're wrong because you like this thing. It's like let people like what they like. Yeah, and if it's not yours, go find something you do like. I'm excited anytime I don't like a new toy line. It means I'm not going to spend money on it. And that's less money I spend there. Like, I wish Todd McFarlane, like I make a lot of jokes about Todd and McFarland. I would be buying way more DC stuff if I liked what Todd was doing. So it's fun to sort of make fun of the Todd situation, but at the end of the day, it just saves me money. So. I'm not entirely happy with my skin tone for Data, but it's better than last time. I feel like I was way too gray last time I did a Data picture. I'm gonna have to keep working on that one. So, sorry, I'm sitting here looking at it like, oh my god, it's not good, but it's fine. I have a very high standard for skin tone. It's important to get them right. Exactly, right? I think so. Some of my favorite moments as well. I'm as a huge fan of Carrie Fisher. I feel like she got some great moments in the first two. Obviously, the third one, for me, my biggest, and this is 100% just because I love Carrie Fisher, and she's one of my idols. Like Allison would not exist as Allison exists if not for Carrie Fisher. Going back to Star Wars. And again, normally I'm not for the concept of CGI or, like replacing dead actors. But I do feel like, especially because Billie Lourd, her facial structure is close enough to her mom, I feel like they could have done a little bit more without having to reuse the unused footage from Phantom Menace, not Phantom Menace, from The Force Awakens. And and it's a situation where I feel like most of us who are fans would have understood it, and wouldn't have needed to use a lot. But they're just. I also feel like they should not have killed Leia at the end, and I don't think originally that was the intention. It seems like, and this is also because I'm a big Star Wars nerd and I've read all the stuff. And the original ending of Return of the Jedi, Han Solo dies. And with the Empire defeated, Leia is basically elected Queen of the Galaxy or whatever. So I kind of originally felt like the way that those movies were intended to end was that it would have ended with Leia still alive and her basically taking over as the leader to help rebuild the Republic. And then Rey going off to Rey and Finn going off to rebuild the Jedi, because it seemed really evident that Kylo Ren would not survive. Like, it just seemed like from the get-go that was sort of the arc, and I personally feel like that would have been a really good arc. And it would have, you know, again, this is me as a Leia Carrie Fisher fan, it would have been a really sort of dramatic arc for Leia, you know, like without her being the main focus of the movie, but through the course of the Star Wars films, Leia has basically lost everything for her fight for freedom, for the galaxy. You know, her mom, her dad, even though he's Darth Vader, her adopted family, her adopted planet, her brother, her husband, her son. But yet, you know, at the end of the day, the goal of freedom and justice and whatnot is so powerful that Leia is still able to soldier on. So, and I feel like that's what they were kind of building to originally before Carrie Fisher passed. So to me, it's just really sad that we got sort of a hokey double Force ghost. But I'm also one of those people who feel like if you're going to call it Star Wars, it has to have a Skywalker. If you want to call it Journal of the Wills, then it can be Skywalker free. But George Lucas always intended Star Wars to be the story of the Skywalker family. So again, this is my crotchety old fan. But I'm, you know, call it Journal of the Wills and go to town with whatever. But if it's Star Wars, it should have a Skywalker in it. Okay, those look pretty. They actually look pretty good, I think. Yeah, I'm hoping that they will circle back to the Acolyte at least there. Yeah, I'm excited for some of this stuff. Like, there's some good stuff, but I'm gonna hold off. I'm excited for Andor. The whole canceling of things is really stupid, especially because I feel like that does way more to weaken a brand than any of the other things. All right, let's see. Okay, we're still doing time is good. So so it's time to do a little wood grain again. Sorry guys. But I finished everything but the table and the jewels. So let me go in and start on this table. And it's an hour and 20 minutes into this, so obviously I'm probably not going to finish this today. But I'm going to get as much of it as I can done, and then I'll save it for, I've got a couple unfinished things. So I'll plan for soonish one of these streams where I do whips, where I finish all my works in progresses. I did one of those a few weeks back, and it was fun. I finished like 3 pages during the course of it, so that's always fun. Yeah, because the next solo stream I do will be in May. So, surprise, surprise, we're doing some Star Wars for May. I'm almost finished with that's the Star. I did a flip through in May of last year of the Star Wars the Heroes and Villains book from 1997, and I am almost finished with that book. So a couple of the streams will be wrapping up those pages, and at some point there will be I completed the Star Wars coloring book, huzzah video, probably at the end of May. But so yeah. And then yeah, Chris Plastic will be here next month to color some Star Wars with me. Got a few more people I'm lining up that I can't talk about yet for May because it's not a done deal. But between Chris Plastic and Thanos, it's a pretty hoppin' May. Thanos and I are not, as mentioned earlier, we're not doing Star Wars, we're doing Black Star. So it won't be all Star Wars all the time next month. As long as it's a space guillotine, I'm in. Akbar should always be a floppy wet puppet. Always. That has to be, right? CGI Akbar is unacceptable. If I can't hear the "it's a trap" with like the extra watery Zoidberg sound, it's just not right. I think this right here is part of Willie's jacket. So I now have to remember what colors I used here to sort of create that. The look. And also, you know, as far as the Star Wars stuff, I do rewatch the holiday special every year for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. So 100%, like, and even bad Star Wars is still Star Wars. Fixed it. I.e., I figured out what colors I used originally. All right, let's see. All right. So we don't end up in wood grain territory again. I'm just going to get my colors down for the table. I'm not going to finish the table though. I'm going to start working on the coins and the gems and stuff. Because again, I rewatched that stream, and there was just way too much wood grain chat. And Matt was out sawing planks earlier to make some shelves, so there's already too much wood grain happening today. All right, basic table stuff put down. Now we're going to do some gold. So I think this is a big gold bar. So just do that as if it's a big gold bar. I think these cups are supposed to be like wooden with just sort of designs carved into them. So this definitely looks like wood grain. So but we're going to get a little creative with that. But set down. This will be the first level of yellow for all the gold stuff. And we'll just leave the front stuff for now and start with all the stuff in the back. Hello, Rhea. Lovely to see you. Here we go. Yep, happy 420 and happy Easter to you as well. Almost deaf. Did I ever tell you guys the story about the time I somehow thought that Alanis Morissette had married Mos Def? I'm not sure how I got that in my head, but she'd married someone who did some rapping or some such. And somehow my head turned that into Alanis Morissette married Mos Def. And that was Mos Def, not the case. And so now anytime people mention Mos Def, I have to mention that so that you can all know my shame. Because as much as I enjoy Alanis, I can't imagine that she and Mos Def would work as a couple. Like, it just doesn't seem like they would mesh well. I mean, I could be wrong, and in 5 years they could end up married, and it turns out I was just seeing the future timeline, but I somehow doubt it. Yeah, it would not like line up the way. And again, it's just ridiculous. I do not know how I flipped that all around. You know, it was. To be fair, at that point, I was sort of trying different meds to find the right alignment, if you will. So it's fully possible that was a result of sort of the med switch. I mean, one of the times where I was switching meds, I had this really elaborate lucid waking dream where it was a bunch of Muppets living in the tree and they were singing a song about Mary Todd Lincoln and the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So I did write that one down. So at some point, if you ever see that might actually become a thing that happens. You know, like I might get some puppets and hire some people who can sing to do the Mary Todd Lincoln song. See, that makes sense though. The universe could be named Fred. Like, I would not be surprised. I still need to. It's just like, you know, the thing with Doctor Who is like it's been on for. And I know everyone's like, you could start with the ones with Matt Smith from the early 2000s. It's no, my brain will not. I have to start with the original 1960s Doctor Who and just work my way up. Especially because I know it's something where I had stumbled upon it on my own and just started watching it. It would have been fine, but as soon as people are like, "Oh, you should watch Doctor Who. It's been on for 20 years, but the new one, you can just jump on." It's like my brain stopped at it's been on 20 years. There we go. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Curtain, the sun just shifted and the curtain was cropped. So. Fix the ray of light. All right. We start on all these gold coins. Agreed, Todd. Red Dwarf is one of my favorite shows, actually. I've watched all of it from the beginning, though, but... Exactly. And that's why I haven't started. Yeah, no, Red Dwarf, I used to have... we'll just say a friend. I used to have a friend, and he had them all, back in the 90s, of course, on VHS. And when I would crash out at his house, we would wake up early and watch episodes of Red Dwarf. And then I would end up being there at his house for like days as we just watched all the Red Dwarf. It was before they had any of the revival shows. So Red Dwarf is my favorite. That and Absolutely Fabulous. Those are my favorite British shows. And the young ones, of course. He and I would watch the young ones as well. But really good times. One of my favorite times, actually, in Austin. And then he and I would go on toy hunts from one end of Austin to the other. There was one day we got up early and we had like our local Toys R Us's when they were opening, and they had nothing. I'm like, you know, Houston's only like 4.5 hours away. So we went to Houston and toy hunted. Still did not find anything, but we did eat at Bennigan's. At the time, there was not a Bennigan's in Austin. And I can see why after eating there. But it was a fun adventure. Back when Power of the Force toy hunts were like how you spent your day. I ended up just buying another Ewok Celebration Leia. Because there were many of them, and I drove all the way to Houston, and all I got was a Leia I already had like 3 of. Oh, Power of the Force. Yeah, I say try it again, sort of now that you're a little older, because I don't think at 12, for most people it would hit. Yeah, the young ones, my dad, we had MTV back in the day, and they would show that on Sundays, and my dad would record the young ones. So I knew what that was before. I knew what Red Dwarf or Absolutely Fabulous were. So when we would watch those, it was always a rewatch. The jokes hit a lot differently as an adult though than they did as a kid. Like, yeah, by the time I rewatched it in my, like mid to late 20s, I also had a better understanding of Britain's politics in the 80s. So a lot more about the young ones made way more sense, even on that level, because there was a lot of political sort of commentary in the young ones that definitely went over my head as a kid in the 80s without much understanding of any sort of international politics at the time. So, but definitely loved the young ones. I watched that, and I had a roommate who was from Australia at one point. She had all these VHS tape copies of Neighbours, which is an Australian soap opera, and Home and Away, which is a different one. And we would watch those. And up until recently, Neighbours was on Amazon. I think it ended again. It's been canceled a couple times over the last few years. But it was kind of cool to, start watching it again. Now that most of the American soap operas are gone. I think Days of Our Lives is still on. General Hospital is still, from time to time, I watch an episode of General Hospital. It was my mother's favorite soap opera. So I watched that when I miss my mom. And obviously some of the same characters are still on it from when we would watch it together. So. But she did not like Days of Our Lives. Days of Our Lives was something I would watch in college with. We would all go to, with my friends, we would go to the Student Union building. And it was whenever Marlena was possessed by the devil. So we'd go watch that between classes. Evil Stefano. Yeah, I never watched Skins. I know that it was a big deal, but just couldn't. I don't know if they do or not. That's a good question. I should look that up. I'm going to Google it right now, CJ, because I'm also now wondering. Finnegan's Restaurants. Huh. Apparently it still exists. They've had the same CEO since 2011, and they were founded in 1976. It's been restructured several times. In October of 2008, Italia Capital Management acquired the Bennigan's and Steak and Ale brands. Blah, blah, blah. As of 2025, Bennigan's operates 21 brick-and-mortar locations across the United States and international, along with 21 delivery-only Bennigan's on-the-fly concepts in the United States, Qatar, and Dubai. The company also announced plans for over 100 units in development, including international locations in Amsterdam, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Pakistan. So, yeah, they still exist to some capacity. You're welcome. Oh, yeah, General Hospital. Luke and Laura's wedding, I got to stay home from kindergarten, so I could watch it. And my mom was like, you can stay home from school today. Luke and Laura are getting married. And then Elizabeth Taylor showed up as Helena Cassadine and like cursed them, and Laura disappeared. And then there was fake Laura, which was that lady that was on Northern Exposure who flew the plane. And her sister Jackie Templeton was played by Demi Moore. Oh yeah, it's good times. John Stamos was on there back then as Blackie Parrish, I think was his last name. Yeah, good old General Hospital. Yeah, they brought Luke and Laura back, and then at one point they broke them up, and they fired Jeannie Francis, and like Laura was crazy, and then while she was off screen because she was a catatonic and institutionalized, he hooked up with Tracy Quartermain, and then Anthony Geary decided to retire from everything and moved to Amsterdam. And so they wrote him out and then used that to bring Laura back. And Laura's been on there since. They did kind of ruin them, but also it was really hard to sort of, because not everyone remembers this, but Luke and Laura as a couple started because he sexually assaulted her at the campus disco, and then she fell in love with him. So that story kind of, over time, became sort of difficult to work with, which I think is part of why they ultimately, that and the executive producer didn't want to pay for both of them. So while I do sort of miss Luke and Laura as a couple, I also sort of get, not that we sort of know better, that storyline kind of, it's hard to bounce back from that one. All right, there we go. We've got gold coins, y'all. That's exciting, though. Like, I now know who to check in with whenever I'm like, okay, what happened this week? So don't be surprised. Because I do from time to time still watch it, but it's just harder to sort of, between work and everything, it's really hard to, I don't watch a lot of like TV and stuff. I will have stuff on in the background when I'm filming, but I don't really watch a lot of stuff. I recently, was unpacking stuff, and I found my Star Wars DVDs that have the original 1977 unadulterated version. And I put that, and I watched that for a little bit. So mostly I just listened to it. I feel like at this point I don't really need to watch the original Star Wars because I pretty much know it. I do want to rewatch the prequels pretty soon because it's been a while since I've sat and actually watched them. I was hoping to go see Revenge of the Sith in theaters, but we're not close to any movie theaters that are showing it. And with everything else, it's not going to be particularly viable to drive to one of the nearest places that's showing, because even the nearest place showing it to us is still like 3 hours away. So alas, but it's okay. I mean, it is Revenge of the Sith. Who needs to see Padme die badly from bad writing? Because George Lucas doesn't really know how to write women. He really should have paid somebody to write those scripts. I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark, he had an Empire and Jedi, he had Lawrence Kasdan. So much better. Like, even for Star Wars, like, you know, like, all of his friends like Coppola and Kathleen Kennedy and whatnot all sort of helped him rework some of that. So. But there we go. We've got all of our coins. Yeah, I can't watch any of those original Star Trek movies. I fall asleep during all of them, which is very disappointing because I very much want to rewatch them. But I don't know. I always found Star Trek boring. Star Trek The Next Generation, hit or miss. Some of them are great. Some of the episodes I cannot even. And especially the motion picture, because I really wanted the doll. Oh gosh, what's her name? The actress was Persia. I always forget her name in the movie because I fall asleep anytime I try to watch that movie. Even when it came out in 1979, I made my parents take me to see it. They were not happy. I was not happy either because I fell asleep 15 minutes into that movie. Slept all the way through it. I didn't even know the thing about V'ger until when I worked up, and I forwarded through the movie. And it's this is, oh my God. And it was one of the ones we've restored over an hour of footage. It's it still sucks, you guys. And this was not a choice that you guys should have made. But people love those movies, so I'm happy for everyone who loves those Star Trek movies. I'm glad they make you happy. I'm just not one of them. I'd rather watch a Phil Collins concert movie. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that. I would just sit quietly and think about things. Then, yeah. Can't even believe I would joke about enjoying Phil Collins. And I say that as somebody who liked that Don Johnson's Heartbeat song. So keep that in mind when I'm throwing shade at, except Moby, because Moby is the worst. But when I throw shade at musicians, you guys have to understand, I've seen the Spice Girls in concert 3 times, and I'll go again if I can afford it. My music taste is all over the place, so I'm okay with that. I don't. Oh, speaking of, I was going through records the other day and I found this. My uncle got this for me Christmas of, let's see what year, 1980. He worked at a record store in the mall, and this was his present for me. So, and I have to say, the fact that they covered both Good Girls Don't and My Sharona tells us how big the Knack was in 1979. But also, Call Me, Frustrated. I'm just like, how do I make you? Like, some of these songs probably should not have been covered by the Chipmunks for a kid's album. But anyway, quick side trip there. Oh yeah, I do too, Alex. And again, I know that, you know, like, when I make fun of certain musicians, people are like, but who do you like, Spice Girls? Like, I know that my own taste in music is at times questionable, but whatever. Like, I don't think anyone's bad for liking music I don't like. It's just fun to make fun of music I don't like. It's like John Tesh. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but God, his music's the worst. And if you like it, ugh. I mean, I make fun of Enya, but I have all of her albums, and anytime you know, like, I was hungover one time so bad my hair hurt. Andrew knows those kind of hangovers. And and you're so miserable that you can't do anything. You can't sleep. You just lay there and you're miserable. And I put Enya in, and I had passed out like 3 seconds into Sail Away. I was out, and the album ended, and I woke up miserable. That was the night I was doing vodka shot. I would do a shot of vodka, then a shot of Jägermeister. And I did like 20. And I had made a vodka and Everclear punch for the party. So it was it was a fun night, but oh. I also made Jello shots that night. I don't know how many Jello shots I had. But it was enough the next day my hair hurt. And the only thing that knocked me out was Enya. So while I make fun of her, she's a great sleep aid. And she's like super rich, so I mean, she's laughing all the way to her mansion, which is probably like an old castle filled with ghosts. And probably at least one banshee, because I think she's like in Scotland or Ireland. And one of those countries have banshees. All right, let's see. You would have never remembered that again, but now you do, and now you're going to listen to it, and you're going to be like, oh my God, Allison's the worst. I hate when it's slowed down. The whole point of the Chipmunks is it's sped up. Also, I've got, it's not handy, but I also have the Mickey Mouse Disco album with the disco version of It's a Small World. Y'all look that up on YouTube. It's special. I'll just say that. It's really special. And I feel so bad for my parents because I would listen to these things over and over and over, and like, y'all, they're not good. Not good at all. And of course, my parents bought me that one. All right, let's see. There we go. My cup is done. Well, it's sort of done. And I just did the one here, the one in the back. I'm not. It is almost time to wrap it up. So I'm going to break out this gold pen really quickly. I'm going to finish this and then we're going to be done for the day. We're also getting to the point where I need to go eat some lunch. Let me use this to go in and sort of decorate, do the designs on the cup with it. All right. This cup is done, so I'll have to do the one in the back. All right, let's see. All right, so we did all three of the Goonies, some of the gold, the candlestick, the one cup, the table, and the other cup, not done yet, and then all the stuff in the front. Oh, that would be a fun one to have. You're welcome, I guess. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. I don't think that there is actually enough left on this page to do another stream from this one by itself. So when I do my next whip episode live stream, we will finish this one up as part of that. In the meantime, let's see what I got coming up. Let's see. Get my handy dandy. It's Sunday, so there was a Care Bear short that dropped today. Check that out if you do shorts. If not, no worries. For the shorts people, this week I've got Julia Carpenter's Spider-Woman, some Evil Horde from Princess of Power. There is a Double Trouble short. And then on Saturday, there will be Ogar's Barbarians from Golden Girl and the Guardians of the Gemstone. For videos, long form, tomorrow I've got a Strawberry Shortcake completed pages and then coloring. So it's all of a bunch of my completed Strawberry Shortcake pages and coloring a page. On Wednesday, it's another Princess of Power Color and Chill Spectacular for Swiftwind, Storm, Enchanta, and Arrow. And then Friday, Color and Chill is Golden Girl versus Dragon Queen. I wanted to do some Golden Girl stuff in anticipation of next Sunday with Janessa here. So yeah. So check all of that out. And again, next Sunday I'll be here with Janessa J. So thank you. Thanks for hanging out today. It was fun. I will see you again in the next one. Bye.